you can support the Warriors if you have heart problems. The game last night was crazy, a wild ending. It went to overtime, and we had a flavor of every single thing you can face in a basketball game, but the Warriors survived. We're going to talk how they survived to the comeback, the wild comeback that the Rockets were trying, even in how the Warriors also almost blew up that 31 points lead. So we're going to talk about the game. We're going to show a few things that the Warriors players mentioned last night and how they're relevant for the future of this season. So let's look at what Draymond said post.
You know what Lewis said as soon as we walked in? He said, last year we would have tricked that game. Yeah, because I was coming in the locker room like, hey, fellas, it's another win without Steph Curry. It didn't end the way we wanted it as far as the way it looked, but we got the result we wanted and needed. And so we'll take it. But Lewis said the exact same thing. Like last year we would have smoked that game, and we 1,000% would have. So, it's good to, see that we can pull the game out regardless if it was going south or not.
Yeah, I agree with Draymond. So, first of all, massive results for the Warriors to survive all games without Stephen Curry. He will probably be back against the Wizards on Monday, winning all the games without him. So that's a massive and keeps us and show that we are capable. This roster can go way further than everyone was expecting. But more important, like sometimes we will face this kind of games. And last season, we wouldn't survive it. The Warriors have so many close games at the end after having the leads, and they were ending and losing most of them. And last night, we were able, even though we had to go to overtime, to hold it, to keep our mind, to keep the pace, to keep focused on the game and finish it with a win. So yeah, as Draymond said, you take the win, you learn with it, and then you keep moving forward. This kind of victory also gives the team some grit and some learning for the future. So yes, it was wild. It was really almost giving everyone a heart attack, but we made it. So the Warriors end up winning in overtime 127-121 against the Rockets. The Rockets that were they were right there in the first 8 positions in the standing. So now the Warriors jumped to 5-1. It was a great win. It's the first road trip, so it's important as well. We're going to face the Wizards, and then we have 3 very difficult games against the Celtics, Cavaliers, and OKC. So it's great to be with a win. The Warriors have everything in place, and they can definitely win the game against the Wizards. Curry will be back. Wiggins was back today. So it was great for the Warriors. Let's see the last 15 seconds. I want to give that flavor to you again of what happened and brought the game to overtime.
Pockets, right? Easton's going to stay on the ball to apply pressure. Deny the inbounds, but don't fall up that pass. Oh, to the he's able to save it. 2-28, the kick. Jory Easton won the baseline. He got fouled.
So before we talk about the box score you're seeing on the screen here, it's obviously like when you don't have a player like Stephen Curry, in a moment like this, you have Stephen Curry, first of all, he's going to draw a lot of attention. Like he's a great free throw shooter. There was a problem last night, and you can see here, the Warriors dropped so many free throws, only 32 out of 50. And that was what kept the Rockets in the game in that second half. But so he would call the attention and open space for other players as well. So obviously, like, it was a mistake from Draymond Green, like a very strong pass to Wiggins. But the whole team, like the whole sequence of the second half of the game, it was complicated. Again, we were 28 points ahead. We at some point it was 31 points, and we almost blew that lead. So after this fall, obviously they scored both baskets, both free throws, and we went to overtime. And then it comes, I want to talk about the 2 players that really shined last night and guaranteed the victory for the Warriors. So let's look quickly to the box score, right? Again, Steve Kerr exploring every single option that he had in the roster. Everyone played. We saw a little bit less of Lindy Waters last night. We also saw a little bit less of Moses Moody, even that he started the rotation. So another combination from Steve Kerr, which started with Trace Jackson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Moses Moody, and Brandin Porzingis. Brandin Porzingis, which actually was one of the great players of this game. Buddy Hield, again, leading from the bench, leading the score for the Warriors, 27 points. And then Jonathan Kuminga. which I can say I criticize it here. I don't like some things that Kuminga was doing. I don't like the way that he talks about when he gets benched. I don't think that's the position that he is. He's not a superstar yet, so he needs to understand as well. But I have to say, the best 3 games he did so far was coming from the bench, and we're going to talk about this here as well. So when you look at this, it's clear that the Warriors did a great shooting, actually, at the end. Over 50% from the floor, 46% from three-point. Buddy Hield, again, shooting massively from the three-point line. But the free throws are the problem. Like, the Warriors dropped 18 free throws, and that kept the Rockets in the game. So we definitely need to be more careful with that. We're able to come this time, but obviously this can complicate and put some loss in our score, in our standing and our record that are unnecessary. So first of all, let's talk about the players. Brandin Podziesmki, in the final quarter, he literally took over for the Warriors. When the moment that the Rockets are making their massive comeback, the final ending when they're about to tie the game, he had 2 great ISO plays where he ISO'd the game, like he went himself and layup, which kept the Warriors in control, because at that moment he put the Warriors 6 points ahead, so it avoid like a really the Rockets taking the lead. So a massive, like, he played almost 38 minutes, led the Warriors, like he really replaced it well. Stephen Curry, not only on this game, but the other ones as well. So I think the future for the Warriors in that guard position with Podziesmki is bright. He needs to improve his three-point shooting, right? To fit the Warriors roster, he needs to be better on that. Otherwise, the Warriors will have to fulfill their other positions with people shooting more. He's shooting poorly from the three-point line, but he has space to improve that. And I think other than that, he's great on involving everyone. Last night, like his number of assists and moving with the ball and speed, and also, well, speed not that much, but I mean rotating off the ball, and like Stephen Curry does, like moving, obviously with the respectful proportions, but he has been doing great on that. And then the guy that I criticized, but I have to say took it over on overtime and was the main responsible for the win at the end, Jonathan Kuminga. Like, he came from the bench again. He scored 23 points, the second, after Buddy Hield, the second guy with more points for the Warriors. But more important, scored 6 points on overtime, and that what brought the win for us. Like, he literally took over with his athleticism. At that point, the Rockets were playing basically with guards and forwards, so they took it off their centers. They were very athletic, and Kuminga really provide, like, with this, his main skill, right? We went to the guys, was attacking, aggressive, and that what brought the Warriors the win. Obviously, at that overtime, the Warriors overall got very strong on the defense. They locked in, and they didn't let the Rockets only score 2 points at the overtime. So the combination of Kuminga and the defense, which I have another video in the channel here, you can check as well talking about it, but is what brought the win at the end. So it shows a lot of maturity from him, from the team as well. So you can see what Draymond Green actually said about Jonathan Kuminga.
You know, he believes he's a superstar. I believe he can be a superstar. And so as long as you believe that, you shouldn't be okay with coming off the bench. But how you respond is important. You can respond with sulking, or you can just go do what it is that you can do to help the team win and to be great. And that's what he's doing. And so not only should we talk about his play, but we should talk about his maturity, because last year he wouldn't have handled that well. But another year of growth and maturity, he's taking it in stride, and he's had his best 3 games yet this season. And so, you know, that's neither here nor there, whether it's, oh, you play better coming off the bench. I don't buy that for anybody. No one wants to come off the bench. Everybody wants to be a starter. That's the game we play. You didn't make it to the NBA if you were coming off the bench, so no one's used to it coming in. And so, you know, if you're going to find someone with star potential that want to come off the bench, send them the opposite way of me.
I agree with Draymond in a few things, right? I agree that Kuminga thinks he's a superstar. That was clear from the time that he won the max extension, and some rumors about that came up. And it's fine, as long as, like, he keeps himself on the ground and show it. And then I agree even more what he said is, like, is Kuminga shouldn't react or being benched about talking and those passive-aggressive answers to reporters, which sort of like put a finger on Steve Kerr, asking for more minutes or saying like he can do anything because he is benched. But just keep quiet. And when you go to the court, play at the best level, play better than everyone. You're going to force Steve Kerr to play him. Like, I agree. I think that his best games came coming off the bench. And there's a reason for that as well, right? Obviously, he's pissed off with the fact. But it's also like the matchups that he gets when you're not a starter, they are different in general. Like most of the times, you're also going to get like bench players on the other side. You're going to get a lineup that is not the initial one. So there's a reasoning behind that as well. That is a part that I disagree with Green. That is not only like, it is not the same. It makes a difference with the time of the game that you play. But I agree. Like we don't want any player in the roster that are actually like, I'm fine where I am. I don't care. Like everyone should be competitive. And that's, I said here before, one of the strong things about this roster is the fact that everyone could play. Everyone could be a starter, and because they have like a good level, but a level that is very flat among them, obviously separating a little bit like Stephen Curry, a lot Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, and a little bit like Andrew Wiggins and a few others, but everyone could play. So the competitiveness in the roster is very high, and that keeps everyone stimulated to come and know that they need to play their best, otherwise they will lose minutes. And for Kuminga, it's not different. He has been coming from the bench and shining, and that's going to give him more minutes and more space, and eventually he might come back to the rotation. But he should, in the meantime, just go there and do your best. Buddy Hield is leading the Warriors and have been like the shining star for now, and mainly without Stephen Curry, coming off the bench, putting a lot of points on the board, and that's what matters. At the end of the day, we think about the organization, not about individual people, right? So that's what matters, and he needs to focus on that. But he was great last night. He was one of the pillars of that win, and that's what is important. So let's take a look at the schedule. The Warriors had the win against the Rockets. They are 5-1 right now. They're in the first three positions together with the Phoenix Suns, and then you have OKC leading the West Conference at the moment, and OKC is part of what we have read in this road trip. So Houston Rockets done. Washington Wizards on Monday. We're facing Jordan Poole. Stephen Curry should be back. Great game to watch. It's going to be very interesting. And then it comes the very tough three games. Boston Celtics, Cleveland Cavaliers, and OKC to wrap on next Sunday. So the next 7 days is going to be crazy for the Warriors and could definitely tell us a lot about how this season will be and sort of what kind of positions we're going to play and fight for over the season. Just very interesting. Keep an eye, because then the following one, we're going to have a day of rest after OKC, and we will welcome Klay Thompson and the Dallas Mavericks to the Chase Center. Probably one of the most emotional games we're going to face in this season. So I want to know your opinion. What do you think about the game last night? Do you think this kind of like the meltdown that the Warriors had is a problem? Or do you think that is something that is part of a regular season that shows that we are capable of holding this kind of games? Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the game.